Hi everybody, thank you for joining me for another video where I'm going to be sharing my behind the scenes work while I'm busy fitting my pants from my Surfer Designs pants kit. Now, as you know, I am the agent for Surfer Designs pattern fitting system in South Africa. I've been working with Surfer Designs since 2016, and when it comes to designing my own patterns, it is so easy because I just reach for my fitted bodice blueprint or my fitted pants blueprint, and I can go and design anything that I want. Now, if you are new to Surfer Designs and you're not sure exactly what the system is all about, please head on over to our Surfer Designs dedicated YouTube channel where you're going to see a lot of information on how the system works. It's going to be helping you with some fitting issues that you might have, and it also talks to you a little bit about designing your own patterns. Now, with my pants that I'm redoing, I went and I did it all from scratch as if I've never done it before. I didn't want to go and take my existing pattern and just go and tweak it a little bit. So I started with my body measurements, made sure that I did the correct measurements on myself. I went to my pants pattern, my master pattern from the pants kit, and I drew the pattern up again as it is, not second guessing the pattern, not deciding that I already know certain tweaks that needs to be done and going and doing it ahead of time. I did the pattern as it was with my body measurements. I sewed my sloper or my muslin, and then from there I looked at what I needed to change on my pattern. Now, the changes that I had to do, I'm actually going to take you through the pattern work. I'm going to show it to you, but I also then decided that maybe I should share some detailed photos with you. Now, that was a difficult decision because we are also critical of our body. We're always trying to hide what we see as imperfections. So I must say it did take a little bit of mental work to get to this point and show you actually what my body looks like from the side in a yoga pants, just so that you could understand why I did the changes that I've done, why I decided to do it the way that I've done it as well. Now, if we're going to look at the photo, and before I actually show you the photo, I just wanted to mention as well that on the YouTube channel for Surfer Designs, there was a video taking you through the process that sparked me into doing these changes on my body. Now, it shows you how to actually distribute the ease, to take some of the ease from the front and move it to the back pattern if you're someone with a fuller bottom area. So that is really where it started. But then looking at my muslin that I made, I also realized I've got to do it on the high hip area as well, which I then did. And I must say it really helped me to perfect that fit on my body. So let's have a look at it. Now, I did this photo in a yoga pants so that you could see the shape of my body from the side. I do have quite a curvature at the lower part of my spine, so it's almost as if it's pushing my hip slightly to the back. So I've got this where my tummy is slightly forward then, and it's pushing the bottom area slightly to the back. So it is definitely not a balanced body that we're looking at. Now, if you are looking at my balance line that I did draw down that side of my body, you can see that I do have more roundness on that low hip towards the back, and you can see I'm quite hollow there on the front. And I think I'm just going to take this so I can show that to you. And then if you look at my high hip area here, which is running basically where the roundness of my tummy is, you can see my body already starts scooping in on the back. I don't need as much ease there, but then for that roundness I do need more ease. And I did pick this up when I did my initial muslin that I had to fit to my body. I found that I had quite a lot of drag lines going from the roundness of my tummy, coming at that angle down to that side seam, and it really came to where I needed more ease also on that bottom area at the back, but also again it radiated to that roundness of my tummy over there. So I knew I had to remove it. I had to actually look at my pattern and do certain changes, give myself ease where I'm going to need the ease, take it away where I don't need it. Now, the next photo that I've done, and this is just for you to visually see now because you can see the size of the arrows again. If you're looking at low hip level where I've done my measurement, can you see the amount of ease that I need to go around the roundness of my bottom? And then here where I'm scooping in, I really don't need all that ease. And this is where I then decided that I'm going to follow the instructions that Linda had on that video, and on my back pattern, I actually sized up one size dot on the back and I sized down one size down on the front. I am not changing my circumference at all. I was just distributing that ease, giving more to my back pattern, taking away a little bit from the front. Then when I also looked at my high hip level, I could clearly see that on my pants, when I had it on, I had so much volume sitting on this side or on that back that even doing a second dot, I just created more fitting issues for myself. I tried really doing a curved dot as well. It also gave me more of a fitting issue. It just created more drag lines for myself. So I knew that I had to look at taking some of the ease away already on my pattern, so that if I'm just doing my original one dot that is on my master pattern, that it will be enough to take away or to shape just on top of that or above that roundness of the bottom. So again, look at the front, where that front curvature is. Let's go back. Can you see again the amount of ease that I needed to do there? So that is my steps that I then followed when I redid my pattern, and I'm going to just show you the pattern work that I've done as well, in the hope that if you are working at the moment with your pants kit from Surfer Designs and you need to do changes, that you also go and have a look at your body, see if you need to distribute that ease a little bit. Remember, when we're working with our pattern, and my initial pattern that I did when I measured on the high hip, that front section and the back section, it was basically the same measurement that I got. So I really knew then that I had to move some of that ease to the front for the roundness that I have on the tummy. So let's go and do the pattern work now, and then after I've shown you all the pattern work, I just wanted to show you a photo of my pants that I made after I did the changes. I'm now going to take you through the steps that I did to correct the fit of my pants. Now, as you can see here, I do have my Surfer Designs pants master pattern in front of me. I'm working on my back pattern piece first. I've also gone and I've done some of my drawing already using my personal measurements, so that you can see what that basic pattern is going to look like. On the side seam, you'll see I've done my pencil line, and that is also, again, just using my measurements as it is, not second guessing the pattern, but using my measurements. And then once I've done my muslin, then I can go and I can see how I'm going to apply those changes that I've pinned out on my body. Now, one thing that I do want to draw your attention to is that on our master pattern, we do have a grid on this section, which I think is a total game changer. This grid allows me to go and draw my crotch length by using my waist measurement and my crotch length measurement all in one step. So I will just show you a little bit about that. But the rest of the pattern drawing is really just following the steps that you do have in your instruction book. We do have the how-to DVD with the digital or online streaming on our academy as well. And then on YouTube, and I'll link it at the bottom for you, we've also got some videos that's showing you how to draw your pants as well. So I'm not going to go into that. That information is already available. This is really just to show you my change that I've done. Now, before I actually show you that change, I just wanted to go to our instruction book for our pants kit. And I just wanted to show you here on page 5. It gives you the information on measuring your body, and it's giving you that measurement chart that you're going to write your measurements in. Now, I've done all of this, the waist, the high hip, low hip, my pants length, and then the crotch. I've worked out with that calculation that we have there. So when I did my crotch measurement, I have gone, and from that back waist, I've gone all the way through to the front waist. And that total, which was 70 centimeters, I used that and I applied this calculation. You divide it in half, and then for the front, you minus 2.5 or centimeters or 1 inch, and then on the back you divide it in half again, and now I'm adding my 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch, and that is going to give me my total front crotch length and back crotch length. I'm working with the basic as it is here. Remember, you are fitting for your body. You might be someone that's got more roundness on the front, you're needing more length on the front. Then you can also go and have a look at our YouTube videos on Surfer Designs that's guiding you how to use this crotchometer to go and do your measurement. But I tend to work with my measurement as it is, and then on my body I can see if I need to do any changes. Now, when I did my pattern work, my first step is always take my measurements, work with the pattern as it is. I don't go now and make any changes. I will make up the pants, and on my body I can see where I need to make changes. So many times I've got customers that second guessing the pattern, and they say, oh, but on commercial patterns I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And in that initial stage they go and make these changes, and then they battle with the fit. Believe in the pattern, do it as it is, and then on your body you can go and say, all right, now I've got to go back to my pattern. I can see I've got drag lines going to the tummy like I had. I can feel it's tight around the low hip area. I can see on the side seam that I don't have a balance line, and I'll go make my changes. Please do that. You are going to save yourself hours and hours of frustration by just doing this step first as is, and then go to your changes. Now, as mentioned, I have done these lines for you using my measurements as is, no changes. This was my first step. This was my first test sample that I sewed. Now, just for those of you that are new to Sure-Fit Designs, I just wanted to show you at this section how I determine that crotch length. Now, my crotch measurement, as I said, when I worked it out, and I just want to see if I did write it somewhere, it was 38 centimeters for my back crotch that I needed. Now, if we look at this grid, you can see that here I've got measurements going up. I've got A, B, C, D that is marking it there. These are my waist measurement. You can see there it says waist measurement as well. Now, I just rounded it up because I am working with a marker. You will be working with a sharp pencil. My waist measurement falls between the 34 and 33 inch dot. So I just decided to go with the 34 for now to do this demonstration for you. But that is where my 34 inch dot is. That is then going to give me my waist measurement. All these grading dots or sizing dots will give you metric measurements and your inch measurement as well. Now, for my crotch measurement, when I measured and I did that calculation, mine is 38 centimeters, that is 15 inches. So wherever that is, and I can really be in between any of these grid lines, I'm going to fall on that solid line there. I'm on that solid line on that 34 inches there, and I'm just following the line down. And wherever those two lines connect, that is where I'm going to make my dot. That is then going to give me the point where I'm going to start drawing that crotch length. If I look at it on this side as well, it was the same steps as well. I found my size on this dotted line over here. Again, I worked with the 34 inches. I found when I looked at that measurement there, I found my crotch measurement, which was 38 centimeters, and mine is marked on a D. As I said, you can be in between. And I'm just following this line. Don't carry on straight. Follow the line. You can see it's going down. And wherever those two lines connect, you're going to make your dot. And that is going to give me that waistline that I need to go and draw in. Now, looking at my low hip measurement, and here I'm going to give you metric in inches. It was 109 centimeters, which is the 43 inch dot on my pattern. So here on back crotch point 1, I used my 43, and then you can see as I went to back crotch point number 2, I used that 43 dot there as well. And you'll see it says low or full hip measurement, low full hip measurement over there. So those are my dots as I have, or my sizing as I have measured my body. Also, just on this side, I have gone down just a little bit to show you the angle that it's giving me from that crotch point going in to that seam as well. Now, going to this side, this is where my changes happened. This pencil line is done with my measurement, which is the 43 inches or my 109 centimeters. And you can see that is the curve that I get. So my step here now, I'm going to draw it with you so that you can see the difference from my change to my initial draft that I've done when I just used my measurements. So as I mentioned, on the high hip, I wanted to remove some of the ease here and shift it basically to the front. I'm not removing it from my pattern. I'm not changing my circumference of my pattern. I am just shifting the side line. And instead of working now with a 37, I'm going to go one size dot down, and I'm going to work with the 36-inch dot on my high hip level. Now you can see I have drawn 2 lines here. That is my guideline, because one of the measurements that we do when we do measure high hip and low hip is to also measure from where you've done your waist measurement down to where is that high hip measurement that I've done, where is that low hip measurement that I've done. That is the shape of my body, so I do want to apply it to my pattern. So as you can see, where I did my measurement on my body, that's not close to my high hip measurement at all. So I'm going to take my pattern and I'm going to shift it up or down. Now you'll note here that I do have my grain line drawn there. That grain line is going to be my guide for when I want to move my pattern back into the original position again. So I make sure that this grain line is drawn exactly as what my pattern piece is below that. Now here I'm just going to go and let's just move my rulers out of the way. I've got both designing stylus here, but I think I'm going to work with the clear one so you can see my dots and my original line as well. So on my grain line now, I'm going to take my pattern or my vellum and I'm going to move it down. I've measured this down 9 centimeters and this was down 24 centimeters. That's where I did the measurement on my body. So I'm going to bring this down until this line where I measured is corresponding to my sizing dot that I have running there. And I'm going to be working with a 36 instead of my 37. So I'm just bringing it all the way down to the 36. There we go. And now I can go and draw my 36 dot over there. That is the size that I want to use. So that is going to take out quite a bit of circumference for me, just above my bottom. Now for my low hip measurement, I'm going to bring this up. There my pattern where these dots are says I've got to use my low or my full hip measurement. And I'm going to bring this up so that it corresponds to the line that I want to work with, making sure that my grain stays on the grain line. Now here my measurement was 43 inches or 109 centimeters. I'm going to size up 1 dot. I need more of that ease distributed to the back part of my pattern. So instead of a 43 dot, I'm going to go to my 44 and I'm just going to shift this up. I think I can go down just a little bit more. Now Glenda does have a detailed video as well talking about this change for a fuller bottom. I'm just applying it now to the fuller bottom and I'm also going to be applying it on my high hip measurement. So now I'm on my 44. And can you see where that line was? Can you see where that line was? So that is really what my body is needing. My body doesn't want this line that is here. I'm too tight across my bottom here. And on my high hip area, I've just got too much ease here that is giving me so much problems. Initially, when I did work with these patterns, I did go and do my dots slightly curved to try and take out more of my ease here, but I just had so much that I had to remove that I created more of a fitting issue for myself. So this is why I actually like doing it this way. Now, one other thing that I do want to mention, and if you can look at where my dot is there, look where my dot is there. That's my waist measurement, high hip, low hip. You can see I've got quite a strange angle. Now when we work with our pattern, if I look at again at my instruction book that comes with your master pattern on page 8, it gives you a bit of high hip drawing guidelines there, and it all depends on what shape you have. So these are all guiding you. Sometimes we are closer there. If you're like a pear-shaped, I'm more of a pear-shaped on that section. So all our bodies change. But now doing it this way, I create with this extra here. I'm already having a problem. When I put my pants on, it almost creates like a bubble for me on this area because there's just so much. So I initially thought, well, what am I going to do? Because my book is telling me to try and then miss this. I can't miss this because that is my initial pattern. When I pinned it on my body, that is the amount I had to pin out. So I stood back and I looked at my pattern and I saw, okay, from the waist to there, I am getting quite a bit of a straight line, and I'm going to draw these lines so that you can see what I am doing. And I'm just going to draw a bit of a straight line. Before I do any curves, I go to my straight lines to see what my pattern is doing. And from there, I'm going to make my decision. And now I can see I'm going out that way. Can you see that line that I'm creating there, instead of having my smooth transition. So then I thought, well, I do need it. I keep pinning out that section there. So I went to my stylus and I saw, what can I wanted to see what can I do. So I decided that initially for me to start, I'm going to almost stay with that straight line, because that my body is straight from that measurement to that measurement. So I am not really straight as if you're viewing it, but if I'm looking at the pattern and I'm looking from this side, it's almost a straight line for me. Remember that volume that I'm going to remove there is then going to bring in that waist level. So I went and I looked and I said, well, I'll have to do that for my body. And here again, I can see I've got a transition to there, but not be too extreme. I really don't want too many angular lines. So I literally took my ruler and I played and I said, I want minimum added on there. What shape am I going to do for myself? And I've started going like this. And I know this is not our regular side seam, but this works for my body. I have done my test pattern with these changes, and that is what I needed. And here I'm just going to go back to my pattern again, and I'm going to also, remember I went bigger there, which was 44, but the rest of my dots I always go to my original size, which was the 43. So you can see it over there. So let's see, what can I do to transition this smoothly back into that seam for my leg. So I'm going to just turn it around and play with your ruler. Don't just go draw a line, see what is going to work. I really don't want to create a bubble for myself. So I'm just moving this around for that roundness. And I think I'm just going to start with that section. I haven't done any initial lines in pencil for this change. I want to do it on camera so you can follow along and see what my steps will be. So I'm going to start going from there and just see what is going to smooth in to that hip level, so you can see over there. And from here I'm just going to maybe transition a little bit more so that I can go into that level that I have, or that line that I have there. So I'm just going to pick it up. I'm picking up more of that. I know I'm taking a little bit of time, but I've got to do this correct. I can't go back and erase the Sharpie that I'm working with. So from there, I'm just going to start doing that. And I'm just going to start smoothing it. And I think from there, I can start smoothing it in. So as you can see here, I do have quite a bit of a curve happening there, but this is where my problem area is. This is where I do get a lot of pull, and there I must make sure that I've got my ease correct. So that is really what my pattern looked like. Very different to what we had when we look at my initial pattern. You can see I've added that on, and remember, again, this is half of my back pattern. I've got my other side as well. So whatever this is, and I'm just going to do this. This is added on to that area where I need to add on. This section here has been removed. I don't need the ease here. This ease is shifted to my front pattern by going and using the high hip dot as a bigger size dot. Here it was a -1. On the front it's going to be a +1. On my lower hip here, it was a +1. On the front, it's going to be a -1 to just shift that ease that I need. Now, one last step that I do for my body, and I do it because I need that extra ease going for, through the leg area. I need that depth. I like to go and add 1 centimeter at this crotch point for myself. It's a +1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch, and I remove it on my front crotch. So my crotch length is still the same. I'm just shifting the seam a little bit. I just find that I needed to do this change just for more comfort, especially when I'm walking. I didn't want any pulling happening when I am walking. So this was just adding 1 centimeter, just shifting this inner thigh line a little bit. So I'm just going to show you, and I'm just going to use my ruler here. I'm going to mark 1 centimeter on. I'm going to use my back crotch curve on my designing stylus, and I'm just going to extend it to that 1 centimeter point that I have. And then all I have to do is I'm going to true it. Now I'm going to try and true it to that sizing dot that I have here. I don't want to add on any additional circumference onto the leg, but I do need this for comfort when I am walking so that it's not pulling me on the leg and on the crotch area. Now this is the changes that I had to do on my back pattern piece. I'm now going to move on to the front, and I'm going to show you the changes that I had to do on that side seam to correct the fit for me on the front, to give myself that added ease for the roundness of the tummy, but then also on this hip level to remove some of the ease on my front pattern so that I didn't have all this bulk on the front area. We're now going to have a look at what my front pattern looks like after I've done the changes. I've gone ahead and I've done the pattern work because it is really just a repeat of what I've done on the back, with the exception now that on the low hip and the high hip, where I was plussing on my back low hip measurement for the back, I'm going to be minusing 1 dot, and then also on the high hip for the front, I'm going to plus 1 dot, because I minused 1 dot for myself on the back pattern. And if we look at the rest of my pattern, this is my normal measurements. My low hip measurement is 43. So where it's asked me for my low or full hip measurement, I've used my sizing dot 43 or 109 centimeters. At that front crotch point, again, I'm using my full or my low hip measurement at that point, which is 43. My only change I've done is really on this point for the low hip measurement, this point for my high hip. The rest of my dots on my pattern is as my measurements were. I'm working with my 43 inch dot or my 109, and I'm stressing that I don't want you, because you've gone a dot smaller or bigger here, to take this dot size all the way down. Go back to your 43. If you're 43 like me, I will use 43 all the way to the hem level. This was the only change on my full measurement that I've done over there. So as you can see now, I've got my pencil line. That was my original pattern drafted with my measurements as is, without second guessing the pattern. If you look at this blue line, that is where I've now gone in on that front, and by going in, I've reduced a lot of that ease that I usually have on this section just below the roundness of my tummy. I've all these years had to really go and scoop out a little bit more to try and get rid of this excess fabric that I have, and what happened is by scooping out there, I actually removed some of the circumference, so I ended up with my back feeling even more tight. By doing this correction now on my side seam, when I did my pattern, I didn't have to go to that crotch on the front and scoop out a little bit more to reduce the bulk of the fabric that I have there. So for me, this method really worked, and it really started by watching Lenda's video where she was saying, go and move that ease. For the full bottom, go and change your side seam dot. Go slightly bigger, go slightly smaller. So that is really all I've done here. The only thing that I haven't drawn in here is to go and correct that crotch point. Remember when I worked with my back, I gave myself 1 centimeter added length. Now on the front, I'm going to take that 1 centimeter off. It's a plus and minus. So the full crotch measurement will still be the same. It will still be my 70 centimeters. Only thing that it's going to do, and maybe I should draw it here, it gives me more of a straight line going up to that crotch point, which again works better with my body because my inner thighs touch each other. So what you can see, what in effect happens here, is I'm getting a straight line on that inner thigh for my front pattern. And all these years I've always, when I have done fitting, I have tended to go to more of a straight line on that front pattern. So that is my change there. So that is really all the pattern work done. I do want to show here again, and I've got that dot there, and I'm going to do that. That was my initial size dot, which was 37. And then when I went out 1 dot bigger to the 38, can you see it allows me to have that smooth transition where I'm going in a little bit more on that area. Now all this, if you see that line there, if I have to color this in, all this is removed from the front pattern, and that has given me that perfected fit that I need. Now this is my final pants pattern after I did my next fitting to make sure that these changes that I've done is actually correct for my body. Now as I've put it here, I've put my front onto the back pattern piece. I've drawn my grain line in my marker so you can see the grain line coming through from the back pattern. I connected where that point is going to be at that waist point, and when I placed the pattern I made sure that the grain lines are parallel. So I just want to move it a little bit, but my front grain line is running parallel to that grain line. They're not on top of each other because my back pattern piece is quite bigger, but as you can see, I want to make sure that if this measures 1 centimeter, that is going to be 1 centimeter. Now, when I did this and I checked my pattern, from the waist point here all the way to that high hip, I was surprised to see with those changes that it is perfectly lining up. Only from here, where I needed to go bigger on my back pattern piece to give myself that extra ease around the bottom area, you can see it coming out. And where I'm going back into the leg area, you can see again, this section's over there. It's also parallel to my back pattern line there. So the whole pattern is really balanced. I'm not going to get any twisting happening, anything like that on the leg, because all of this is balanced. My big change, as you can see, is this section where I needed it. When I finished all that pattern work, I went and I cut out another pants and I did a new test pants for myself. I must say that just with that couple of changes, I could not believe the change, how it felt on my body. It was so comfortable. I didn't have it pulling tight on my bottom area anymore, and also over the tummy, it also didn't pull tight, so I didn't have any of those drag lines. Now I'm going to show you some of my photos again so that you can see what the pants looked like beforehand. I actually forgot to share that with you, and then also to show you that second test that I've done. Now I do want to mention that it is a little bit dark. When I did my test, I cut it out on black fabric. I thought, well, I'm going to be quite close and I need a black pants, so I can always use my test pants then and just finish it off nicely and then have extra pants now to wear. So I did go and take that photo and I did try to just play with the contrast a little bit to lighten that black so that you can see where I had the drag lines and how smooth it is now. So I do apologize if the photo is a little bit dark. Just wanted to first share this photo with you because I didn't show you this in the beginning of the video. This is just to show you my drag lines that I do have. Now if you look at my pants over here, can you see at the back, can you see that extra volume that I had there? Now here, I think I took this photo after I already started playing with the dot, trying to remove some of that volume, because that section there has always got too much fabric. If you are looking at the front as well, and you can see these drag lines that I have running there. I've got a couple of drag lines and they're all basically going to the roundness of my tummy. Now that is my first test that I've done. If we look at the second test that I've done now, look how smooth it is going into the hollow of my back. I went and removed all that extra volume, that ease that was sitting at the back, and I put it to the front where I needed it for that volume over the tummy. If we're looking on the front of my pants, look how beautifully smooth it's actually hanging now from that roundness of my tummy. It's not pulling tight at all, and I've got no drag lines, and I'm going to just go in there. You can see the drag lines are gone, and again, if we look on that back, also I've got quite a smooth back section there as well. Now one thing that I did decide to do is to go and pin out on that front crotch a little bit. It felt a little bit long for me, so I did go and pin it out and put it on again, and I decided to just shorten my front crotch only with 1 centimeter. That is 3/8 of an inch. Now remember, when you pin it out on your body, and I did it just under the roundness of my tummy, it is always where that crotch line is. That is where we're removing the volume. It's almost like a dot, and it's then going to nothing on the hip. That is all I did. I pinned it out. I didn't even go and sew it, and I put it on again to see how it looked. It did improve the fit on the front for me for that crotch length, and because it's a pants that I want to wear, I want to finish it with a facing, I did go and then just remove it on the top where I needed to remove that additional 1 centimeter. So the photos that I'm actually showing you now was after I removed that 1 centimeter on the top, so it was already sitting so nice on that front crotch area. Now also another photo, I just want to show you one more photo as well, and here you can see again, look how smooth it is going to the tummy area. Now for me, this was such a big improvement on the fit. The comfort was so much better. Those drag lines were gone, so I was really happy that just with these couple of tweaks I could actually go and perfect the fit of my pattern. Now Looking at what I've done here now, I want to encourage you, if you've got the Surefit Designs pants master pattern, go and pull it out, go and do your measurements, go and draw your pattern and go through the process that I've gone and do that fitting. Remember, the initial test that I did was with my pattern as it is, just using my measurements so that I could see where I needed to go and improve on the fit. Then only did I go and I did the changes on my pattern. I did my second test pants and I could already see the improvement. Now with that done, as soon as I'm done with my pattern and I'm happy with the fit, I always go and add my pattern onto pattern board. For me, it's an easy process then, because if I see a new style that I want to recreate, I just go and take my pattern board, put it on my tracing vellum, trace around it, and I'm ready to start designing the new style that I do want. So that is really all the steps that I've done on my side to perfect my pattern. Now, one other thing that I do want to mention as well is, if you are a Surefit Designs customer and you've got any questions or you need any assistance with getting your pattern to fit your body, please reach out to your Surefit Designs distributor. We are all there to help you to make a success of sewing and designing with Surefit Designs. So that was now my process done with my pattern that's been fitted to my body. I'm actually ready to go and look on Pinterest what's going to be inspiring me, and I want to go and make some pants for my wardrobe. I'm also busy working with a new design and sew along for my Surefit Academy to make a new pants class for you, or a new pants workshop. So also look out for that. That is coming up in the next 2 weeks. So it's been very busy on my side, and I actually just enjoyed sharing with you what I'm doing here. So that is it from me. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll chat again soon.